Well, hi, this is Hugh Cross again, and I've prepared another video to show how I do these square rig ships. So this time I'm using this reference. It's the Clan Macleod, which is now called the James Craig. Our Sydney Heritage Fleet in Sydney restored it, salvaged it in 1972. Took about 25 years to complete the restoration after salvage because it's a big ship. About 1,000 tonnes and 3-masted bark, and so now it resides at the Sydney Heritage Fleet in Pyrmont, Sydney. So beautiful ship, and here she is, a photo in Jack Churchhouse's book, Ships of the Tasman Sea, and it's on page 68. Gorgeous photo of the ship drying its sails. It's come into harbour with wet sails and they want to dry them. And here's the sketch I did. Oh, let's get that over here. It's not that big. If we put it next to me, that's how big it is. So again, it's pen and wash. Instead of the Noodler's ink, I've used Faber-Castell walnut brown ink. It behaves in the same way in that it's water soluble and we can dissolve the lines. So that's what we're going to do. These strong darks that are here happen by accident actually. They're not necessarily where you'd have your darkest darks, but the pen leaked. And sometimes you get happy accidents. Well, the happiest thing about this was it avoided where the sails were, so I could just use it in the background. Okay, so I've sped up the video so that you're not here for half an hour while I draw this out. You'll see I'm just drawing with a pen. There is no pencil underdrawing, so I've just got to get the estimates fairly correct initially. I got the placement of the masts fractionally wrong, so because I've done them fairly light, later on I could adjust those and turn them into shrouds. So if you keep your pen lines relatively light, you can do little dots and dashes as well to get various points, and you measure off the last thing you drew. So that's why I'm working from the bottom up. I happened to start with the mizzen, but I could have equally as started with the foremast and the bowsprit. I'm just gradually working up the sails, and as I do the next mast, I'm looking back to the other mast to go, well, this one has to be a bit higher, a bit lower. There's some here shrouds, backstays, and down here. And so you've got 5 shrouds. They all land inboard on an iron ship. And backstays, and here, so what was a mast has just changed its identity. And some backstays, there's no staysail set on that one. There is a staysail on it. What they're doing here is drying sails, of course, which I may have explained in the intro. Just say that again. All right. Let's just try and, well, we'll move the drawing in a bit. There we go. Right. Getting closer. So this yard's got to continue. It was there, so it's... And this sail is all there, but, well, look at that. Because I've scrunched everything, it's sort of half hidden, so there can be another buntline there. And alright, then there are other lines. You're not going to see all the lines, we can barely see them here. There's a contraption here. Oh my god, what's happened here? Oh dear, my pen is just leaked. Eugh. Disaster. Alright, let's stop for a moment and... Right, well, I did say that the ink can stain your hands quite well. I just filled up the pen before I started this drawing, and It's decided to bloop all over the shot. Okay, so we're getting high up on the main mast, and so I'm looking over to this one, and I'm just going to put it up there. Apologies for going out of shot. I'll sped this up until we come back in shot. Right, so we're just going to make sure we've got all the lines, which we haven't yet. And make sure that we look like we're in proportion. I'll put a bit of a hint there of that one. So there's various lines around. So now we're going to just cross hatch in all of the dark areas. So there's a dark area here. You don't need too much ink. So just cross-hatching in. So there's various things here. There's actually some bods over on the other side here. And in here is what we're seeing is the bulwark on the other side of the ship. Too much ink there, I don't really need to put much on. There's some part of a dark building over here. Alright, I'm not at the right angle to be drawing that correctly, but none of that's going to matter too much. Well, look, my drawing is now getting longer. Now I'll just scumble around for the foreground, and just loading it up with some ink. So I'm using horizontal lines here. So just to recap, the amount of darkness you need, the darker tones need more ink. So this is where you're applying more ink to those areas that you want to become darker, and less ink for less shaded areas. Okay, so we're about to do the water brush. So we've got a tissue, and my brush is clean, so there's my water brush. A little bit low on water, you're probably best to tank it up a bit. I'm working on quite a steep slope, so if I do end up with a lot of ink, a lot of water coming out of the water brush, it's really going to run down the page. Alright, so I'm starting on the sky and trying to get rid of most of the lines for the cross-hatching, and trying to bring down some ink around the light part of the sails so that the sails will pop out. I can touch it to the line. You can sort of keep some of these, you can draw them back in later when the page is dry for the various bits of rigging. So there's a bit of quick dry brush, moving the water brush quickly, get a nice speckle. Makes it more luminous if you can do that. Just touch that one there that's in of a yard. Let's bring this up between all of these guys. Oh, that was a sail there. So just correct that shape, make this front sail obvious. That's right, there's a building there. Now here's where you can see we're picking up a lot of ink. Just wipe that quickly off of my tissue. That was the roof of the building. It can be like magic, this stage is, it's like developing a film. You just see things pop out You want an even look to your sky. You're trying to get the eye to go, oh, that's sky, no, that's a sail. That white line there is a bit of rigging, so sometimes the bits of rigging will be white against dark. So that's why I'm choosing to change the direction, and then I'm laying it flat if I want to get a big area of speckly sky. And scumble, dry brush. I'm not squeezing much. There must be a seagull there, or a block. There are something like 250 blocks on the James Craig. Oops, I'll just squeeze all of that out and run that down. We can pick up a bit of this ink here and try and that's right, we're trying to get rid of these funny shapes. By keeping a little bit of white next to things, you know, they can stand out. I'll just make this roof darker than the sky if I can. It's funny how that's not dissolving that much, is it? It must have been partly wet when it leaked. Tissue, so I'll go lighter on the roof of the building. I can lift with the tissue if I think it's a bit too dark. You'll change the colour. This ink is either brown or pinkish. It depends on this process. This part of the process is what defines what colour it goes. So these rounded forms, I'm wetting the page above the ink to try and get a soft edge when it's wet, so it looks nice and soft. Okay, and cut in there, get a little bit of luminosity, something's happening. There can be a bit of belly on that sail and stretch. Same with this one, there would be a shadow underneath the gaff. This is where it's really dark, and look at that, you don't need much ink to create a tone. That's something happening there, isn't it? So there's the dark bulwarks on the other side, on the starboard side of the ship, and underneath the ship's boat and so on. You can dance your brush around. Right, let's work top to bottom. I'll look back at the reference. There are some shadows on the underside of these sails, so that's what's giving them the form. I'll draw that line back. This one I actually drew in pen. It's important to retain your whites. You're best to err on the side of not putting any tone onto them, because it's pretty risky. You can go too heavy quite easily. So be quite careful with that and make sure you clean your brush on a piece of tissue. Dry brush across there. Wipe the brush, and then I'm trying to wet up the lower part of the sail here, and then as we activate the ink, it'll give us a bit of a softer look to the sail and the canvas. That one more in the shade. There we go, that's looking nice, isn't it? And this one, this sail is much more shaded from the one above it. I'm getting a bit lost now, that one. Oh, I see. I was looking at the wrong sail there. Well, now I can see it. That's because I got too close into my drawing. Let's see what we can do about that later. Right, I'll just pick it up from this stay line and let's just run it in. That ink's already been activated there, so I've got some here, so there we go. You get access one place and then you can put it in another. Let's put a bit of a fold up here in the sail. Right, so we're getting a nice look, I must say. Reference. And right, now for the ground here. Dry brush. You can always kill it more later, so if you put it on the side, for a big area I'm going to have to squeeze out a bit of water and then quickly move it around. Right, so we need that to pop the ship out. Oh, there we go. This is not reading. Oh, that's because that needs cross-hatching in here. We totally forgot about that. Sail. There we go. Easily fixed, and doesn't matter whether you activate the ink straight away or in 20 years time, it'll behave the same. That's the joy of it, isn't it? So that's gone pink because of the way I play with it. And it's matching up a bit better. Okay, well hopefully we're getting the idea. You can just sharpen up some lines by bringing your water brush across. If there's any ink left to activate, you can do that. And there are 2 points at which you can come back in and darken things up. One is while it's wet and the lines will be very heavy, and the other will be later. Let's see, I'm just going to move this up for you. Right, so if you come in now and darken up, you'll see that the lines will be very dark, and that can be fine. So generally only do it where you want the super punchy darks while it's wet. And obviously you don't want your really punchy darks everywhere. They can look very nice. You can get nice variation on your line. You know, some parts of the page are wetter than others. Darken that up. This front corner, link him through to this bollard. Paper's still a bit damp. Yeah, it's at this point too that you could put a few seagulls. Oh, different size seagulls. in different angles. And if we turn him towards you, I'm getting quite a bit of glare on the page. Oh, there he is. Well, we'll take a photo. It will come up a bit better than with the video, I think.